Good morning, team. We're back with another episode of Cajun Tiger Plays. I'm Cajun Tiger, and we
Mineral
are
depleted.
working on a Let's Play series through Dyson Sphere Program. We have lots to do today, and I have some explanations and some other stuff, but we're going to start with working on these particle colliders. So, in order to do the 12 of these, which we'll talk about in a little bit why we need 12. In order to do 12, we're going to need 300 of our super magnetic coils, and we're going to need a whole lot of titanium alloy. So while we get other stuff, we'll start by grabbing 200 of those, and we'll come down here and grab all 300 of these. And the reason I'm doing this first is because these particle colliders just take a long time to make. So
Mineral depleted.
we want to make them first while we're doing some other things. All right, we're going to come over here because for particle colliders, we do need the, what are these things called? The frame material. And that frame material uses the carbon nanotubes that we create. So we're going to need 240 times 4, which is like 1,000. So we're going to get 950, I think, will do it for us. We'll get a few more somewhere else. And then while we're here, we are going to stock up on our foundations because we're going to need a lot today as well. All right, let's head back this way. There are a few more things we need. Oh, here we are right here. We're going to get some of our things from here. Most particularly, oh, we already had circuits here. Could have grabbed those. That's all right. There's a few nanotubes, and I thought we had. Guess that maybe it's already in my inventory. Oh, maybe I got it from something else. Okay, so I'm doing things in a little different order than I did on my test playthroughs, so may have ended up with a few things extra. Let's just get 200 of these. I don't think we're going to need all 200, but that'll get us going. And then here we're going to need. We'll grab 300 of our graphene that we had left over and come back up here, see if we got 100. Yep, we got 100 more of those. And do we have enough? Awesome, we've got everything we need. We should be able to make 12. Oh, we can make 10.
Depleted.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We need to make one more, and we're probably missing maybe titanium. That would be my guess. Looks like titanium. So let's grab another 100 titanium. We'll make, I said 12. We only need to make 11 because we already have one left over from the last time we made these guys. So let's make our number 11. There we go. And then we can jump up into here and see there's one. Okay. So with those being made, the other thing we have is 28 of our. We already made those, the advanced miners, so we won't make any more of those. We will store that stuff so that we don't have to keep it in our inventory. And while we're here, we'll go ahead and grab fuel and fuel up here. Oops. We still have fuel left over from our trip back, and then we'll grab a stack of these guys. We're going to need belts for sure. And then we'll grab all these guys that we can get. And let's see. That's good for now. One thing that we did not do before we left is I forgot to set this to processors. So they never came through. So what we're going to do while we're here, though, is we're going to cut off the processor or the silicon. We're going to go ahead and replace all of that in a little bit. It will stop generating and we'll run out of processors and we'll have to do more things to get it all set up, but we'll take processors through this way on that belt instead. So we'll look at that in a minute. The other thing I did want to note is that our power sufficiency is good right now, but we're going to have to expand that because quite frankly, particle colliders use a lot of power. So we're going to set both of these to supply so that they can be drained, and then we'll set up another array of power stations. We also want to change how this works. So we're going to build a planetary logistics station right here next to the oil extractor. And we can take this line down here and we will eventually take it in to the new station. But while we're doing other things, where did our drones go? There they are, drones. While we're doing other things, we are going to take this here so that, oops, I should have selected oil on that first one. There we go. Select oil on this one. And that will help eliminate all of the oil in here, and we'll be able to remove it. So we'll get rid of that in a little bit. Oops, my shift key is in a different space than my finger was looking for it. Okay, that will take care of that. The other thing we're going to want to take care of is this coal over here. So I think the best way to do it is just going to be turn off power. So those guys just stop working. And we'll be able to pull the coal out of them and hopefully put it in here in a little bit. Okay. So again, all of this is because, quite bottom lining everything, is we just don't have enough deuterium and we need more. So we're going to make more deuterium. The other thing that we've been working on is, or we've been looking at, is our processors. We're still very low here on these guys, even though we increased our copper, we still are low. So what we're going to do is, rather than trying to expand things and build a bunch of new stuff just yet, we are just going to build another array right here. The other alternative is we could build a small amount of Mark III belts and just extend this array a little bit, and that would give us pretty much the same amount. It gives us a little bit more, but this will work, and it's fairly easy since we know how to copy and paste. So we can just come here, grab this entire array and power stations and everything, and just paste it down right here, and as close as we can get it. We need to go one over, just like we normally do. That we're not centered on the planetary logistics station, but we're offset by one, and then the center line is just like we normally do with the center line. I don't know why it asks if we want to place foundation, even though we already have foundation, but we'll tell it yes, and then we can help the drones build a little of this while we talk about a couple of things. Okay, so I will explain. I know last episode I thought we had figured out what was going on with the power on Siri, and I did, but I didn't understand, and I've read a little bit about this on YouTube, read a little bit about it on Reddit, and I think I get it now. So what's going on now that this is built? Let's put some drones in here. This will give this a little bit of time to work. So what's going on, and we're going to come up here to the pole because it's going to help us figure this out. If you do the calculations, again, we're going to get 80% of this hydrogen fuel. So 54 megajoules, that means we get, I took notes here, can't find my notes, 43 megajoules, 43.2 to be exact. Because in a thermal power station, pull this up, in a thermal power plant, we have, if you look at the fourth line, energy efficiency is 80%. That means we only get 80% of the megajoules stored in whatever energy form we're using. Since we're using hydrogen fuel rods, we only get 80% of the 54 megajoules. So it is, again, 43.2. These power plants are going to burn however long it takes. They're going to produce 2.16 megawatts, which if you didn't know, it took me a while. I was probably an adult before I remembered this. I know I studied it in high school, maybe even in college, but I didn't remember it until I was an adult. 1 megawatt is 1 megajoule of power over 1 second. So a megawatt is time based. So one watt is 1 joule over 1 second. So 2.16 megawatts means that it's going to spend 2.16 megajoules out of the 43.2 every second. So if we divide all of that out, we get basically we're using our hydrogen fuel rods. These thermal plants are using a 0.05 of a hydrogen fuel rod every second, or every second. So multiply all that out, and we're using a hydrogen fuel, 0.05 means we can fit 120 belts. Now, that's the basics. Where it gets complicated is here. So our sufficiency is less than 100%. We have power coming from multiple sources. So our sufficiency, it's a little bit higher than 75%, but I'm going to use 75%. So the thermal power plants are only going to burn 75%. We're only pulling 75% from the wind turbines. We're only pulling 75% from the solar power plants. So everything in your power grid is reduced by your load, what you need. I wish that things like wind turbine and solar power were used first or skipped over or something. I wish it was a little different. It would make it easier to calculate and figure out what's going on. But as you can see, we can go by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and we have 20 on the other side, so that's 40. 40 times 3 is 120. So we have 120, which is exactly what the wiki says, but we're backed up. So why are we backed up? Well, we're backed up because the system is only burning at 70. They're only burning at 75%. So if you actually, and I literally did this, if you watch the burn rate here, it took a while. And again, I was looking at the wrong things and said some wrong things in the last video. But if you look at the burn rate, start at the very, when it starts, start a stopwatch, a timer, and let it go until it ends. It burns a little bit slower than what we expect. And because sufficiency, when I was doing this, it was averaging very, very close to 80%. And so it kind of was weird because it balanced out. It looked like we weren't getting the 80% penalty from these guys, and we really were. So anyway, all that said, I think we figured out the issue with the power. So we're going to get rid of all of these guys here, so that we have room for our new power plants, and we do need to get rid of that. So can we dump all of that coal that we picked up in here? Yes, we can. Oh, we have oil in there too. Let's drop off that oil. There we go. Okay, and we're going to use one of our new miners here. We want to be as far away from the pole as we can and still cover everything. So there we go, and he needs a little power. And remember, he's going to provide to our network all of that coal. So this guy will probably run out of coal. I don't think we have, yeah, he's just got the oil and the stone. So that will help for us to be able to lay down this foundation. And remember, we have this piece set. That's the other part that I was going to talk about, and you'll notice that all of our coal nodes are beneath the ground now, beneath the foundation. So I did some experimentation on this as well, and I wanted to update you on what I discovered for that. If the other miners, the basic miners, standard miners, they did indeed pick up the coal when I pushed the coal underground. I was surprised that happened, but as I played with it and did a little bit of research, I found out what was going on is if the coal or the node or the vein, I guess I should say, if the vein is above ground, then everything's great. Everybody's happy. You can mine
Replication
it.
complete.
If the vein is below ground, you cannot mine it. It does not matter. You have to bring it back above ground to mine it, and then you can take it below ground. So that's just something to note. You may or may not have issues, when you're doing something later in a game somewhere and you're trying to figure it out. Well, if you're using the advanced miner or the regular miner, if you use that feature to push the whatever I'm trying to say, push the nodes underground, then you will potentially run into trouble when you try if they're not already being mined. All right, so we're going to come on this line here because we can't get rid of our crude oil seep there. So we're going to come in on that center line there, which is the second one to the left of the parallel. So we'll drop all the way over here, come to the second one on the left of the parallel, so that we are exact opposite side of the planet, and we'll put our planetary logistics station there, and our splitter can go right there. There we go. Get this guy started with pulling in our hydrogen fuel rods. Again, I have no expectations that anybody who actually creates this game will ever see me or hear me or know who I am, but the fact that hydrogen fuel rods are down there, and then when I come in here, they're up here, it's just this, I feel like this should match this, and it would make life that much easier. So once you know where things are, it's not that big a deal. But when you're new at the game or newly returning to the game, which I'm kind of both, then it's kind of hard sometimes to figure out where things are. So anyway, enough complaining. It is what it is. Move on with life and quit complaining. Okay, so we're going to start putting our power plants over here, and then I'm also going to put power plants over here, but that's not done yet. So we also want to do our
Depleted.
miniature particle colliders, which we're going to do right here in this section, simply because it's available. We're starting to run out of room on our planet, and I'm debating if we want to try oops, pushed too many wrong buttons there. If we want to try making titanium and silicon and then just shipping our carbon nanotubes to Pixidus 1 so that we can just go ahead and make, we'll be making titanium alloy there. We already talked about that. But if we have silicon on Pixidus 1, we might just go ahead and ship our carbon nanotubes from here to Pixidus 1 so that we can make frame material on Pixidus 1. And that might be a good location for us to set up our Dyson Sphere components. We'll have to ship more things in. Obviously, we haven't hardly even addressed making photon combiners and some of this other stuff that we need to make. So we'll get there. Again, I was really hoping to be done in 30 episodes, but that didn't happen, so we'll get there when we get there. I'm thinking maybe 40, 42, maybe this would be a 12-week series instead of just a 10-week series. We'll see. We will see. All right. So what we want to do we want to start. I was about to start in the wrong spot. We want to start on the pole side, and we're going to have a line going in for our deuterium, and we're going to create basically 2 full belts of deuterium here. So let's get this guy set up. We are low on our drones, which was one of the other things we were going to set up, but we wanted to let that drain. What are we doing here? We are pulling in hydrogen and we are providing deuterium. So let's click there, get this guy started filling up, and we can get our belt here for hydrogen. And it's going to come this way. And then we'll put our particle collider, can go right here. 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And if we do, I'm not going to belabor the time right now with doing the math, but if you do the formula, basically we need 2 belts of hydrogen in order to create 1 belt of deuterium. Now, I said I'm not going to do the math, but what I am going to do is show you how without doing all the formulas to figure everything out, there's a cheat way to figure out how many belts you're going to get. So as we pick this, we are consuming 10 and we're making 5. So as soon as we figure out how many belts how many machines we need to consume a belt when we use 10 every 2.5 seconds, we know we're going to get, if we use 2 of those belts, we'll get 5 out, which is 10 in, 5 out. That's half as many. So it's fairly easy to do the math on that and figure out that if we put 2 belts in, we get 1 belt out. All right, let's put our hydrogen in. We'll put our hydrogen in from this side and bring deuterium out. And that guy's already starting to work, so we drag him over to the end. And then we'll do another array exactly the same, only just a little bit to the south or north or whatever direction this is. So hydrogen comes right here and goes all the way over. And then we build another one of our particle colliders right there. And we get another hydrogen belt here. Oh, let's fix this. Let's do it that way. And then we'll pull that one this way. Only reason we do that, again, I don't know. I do, at some point, I want to do at least one if we have time. I'm itching to play another game with everybody, and I have some ideas on what I want to do for other games and other videos, and the next set of videos that I want to do should free me up to spend time making different types of videos. So, and I'll talk about that more later. But I would like to do easy for me to say. Would like to do at least one example of proliferators in our build here. We're going to tab a little bit so we can line everything up. Whether or not it's this build or something else, I don't know. It's something that is a big part of the game. I did not do it at all this time, and I, kind of like leaving the Dyson Swarm on. I kind of regret it at this point, but it is what it is. So we're going to do what we can do here. What I'm going to show you guys is, see, our sufficiency is starting to dip below 100. So most of the time we're seeing an almost full belt. These will be full belts once our sufficiency is back to maximum. So we're going to work on we're bouncing all over today, but that is just because there's a few things that I want to do, and while we're in the neighborhood of some particular area of the game, I want to go ahead and do what we were... Oops, what am I doing? Okay, there we go. I want to try and do the things that are relevant to that area. So let's go back. We are not in the area, but I do want to go back and finish what we were going to do down here first, because then we can go, I can go dip into a high speed mode for doing the generators, because you guys know how to do that. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're removing the need for these guys because we don't need them and we can't use them anyway. And we do need, let's see, we want to leave that there, and we can cut this one off over here. There we go. Okay, so then this belt, we will turn this around, reverse the path on that one, and get rid of a little bit of our copper belt here for just a moment so that we can take our processors to there and then reconnect our copper belt. And we have processors going in here. We need processors for this guy, so we'll get our assembler, and then we also need processors down here, so we do want them going in there. Since we're not putting them in that depot over there, we want to go ahead and expand this to 2 stacks. That way we can get plenty. Now, the next thing that is preventing us from going very fast over here is our steel. We need a lot of steel for these things. We need 40 over 20 seconds, so that's like 2 per second. And our steel build right here is building 1 steel every 3 seconds. So we're not going to get enough steel to do this fully, but what we can do is, let's see, I need to first move this belt here. Let's put that belt there, and we'll connect this last little bit in just a second once all of those guys pass through. Okay, now what we'll do is we will put a smelter there and a smelter there. We can take our iron in. We want to take from where the T-junction is, just so that if this guy runs out and this guy's got some vein coverage, we still have veins that we can pull from. So we're going to make iron, and then we're going to make steel. And this is not going to be enough for all the steel that he needs, but it's twice as good as what we were doing. So this is 2 steel every 3 seconds, which is what, 1.5. 2 every 3 seconds is 0.67, and we need, like I said, we need 2. So we're a ways away. The other thing, as I get stuck on the Tesla tower, the other thing that we are going to lack is these thrusters. So we need to make more thrusters. Again, because of the 0.75, we will be a little bit lacking in our thrusters, but thrusters are fairly easy. They take iron and copper, and fortunately, we've got both of those right here. We have copper right here, and we can pull iron in from this belt now. We can extend him one and pull iron in from there, and we drop iron from both of these assemblers, or both of these smelters. We just drop the iron onto the belt. That will let him make thrusters, and then we can feed thrusters in here. Again, it's not going to produce every 4 seconds. It's going to produce 0.75, not 1. So it's a little bit slower than what we need, because we need 2 every 4 seconds, because we're using Mark 1 assemblers still. And again, hindsight being 2020, I wish I had known about the new design for Amal that Milhouse had designed. He actually did it during a live stream session with some other really smart people, and it was a group effort. Milhouse is great at all of this. I've already given a shout out to him. You guys have heard of him. If you haven't seen his videos, you should go watch them. But all that said, he came up with a much better design for a mall hub depot thingy, and I wish we had used it, but I did not know it existed until after we had already started, and it was a little difficult to convert to it. So we didn't do that. So let's grab a few more of these belts while we're here. I don't think we're going to need all of those, but never hurts to have extra belts. Let's see. We should be seeing, even though we're a little bit slow, should be seeing our Deuterium starting to build here and then over here. We're a little bit slow because of our power. Yeah, see here the Deuterium is stacking up, and we don't have any of the little yellow icons saying that these guys aren't working. Again, we have if we look at our recipe for strange matter, we build 1 every 8 seconds. So we have 9.6 of them, of the particle colliders. So every 8 seconds we're building 9.6, which is just barely over 1 per second. If we come all the way over here to our array for our whatever these things, graviton lenses, then if we look at the recipe for that, we need 1 every 6 seconds. So we're not going to be creating enough, and actually we've got 2 arrays of those. So we need a lot more than we're creating, but we're going to be okay for now. The other thing that I wanted to change is here. We have now got a lot of our microcrystalline components. But we still are only seeing half of our stuff being used, and that is because we never upgraded these belts. These belts are all at Mark 1. So we're going to upgrade all of those belts, and that should solve our processor problems. We'll see that build up slowly but surely. Let's see, and here's where our generator build needs to go. Again, I'm going to do the generators in high speed mode because you guys have seen this before. What I will do first is explain, what we've talked about in the past. We're going to build the top row first so that we get the alignment right, and then we build this one and we use tab to get the alignment right on the other rows. So I'm going to jump into high speed mode in just a minute. We're going to change that to demand, and that should take care of that. I'm going to jump in high speed mode in a minute, and I will come back after. I may have some things to talk about. Maybe we'll do a shout out or something while we're in high speed mode, but high speed mode to get these generators finished. Okay, we'll jump in here real quick and do a shout out while we're watching our high speed mode. Today's shout out, sticking with our theme of TV shows, gonna go with a 1982 TV series, 82 to 86, called Knight Rider. That's right, David Hasselhoff, before he was the Hoff, before he was Baywatch, he was Michael Knight, and he drove around in KITT, one of the most awesome cars you'll ever see. I wanted KITT when I was a kid, and now we have AI, and how long before AI ends up in our cars, and we're talking to KITT while we drive. Michael Knight and Knight Rider, shout out for today. Okay, we're done with that. We are back. We should hopefully see our warpers be a little bit better affected now that we've got that up and running. We also should be able to see our power is at 100% sufficiency, barely. I added some extra power plants in, even though that will probably end up coming to bite us if we start running out of power again. They'll be the first ones to not have power. But hopefully we can get by with what we've got, and we will head over to our other planet to get things rolling over there. We do see our green science production is back up, which is one of the things that was limited because of our graviton lenses being slow. So hopefully we'll see more graviton lenses come in here. Hopefully it won't hurt us too much if we don't have warpers. But all of that said, we are past time. So let's come back down to our home. We will inspect our things a little bit. Let's see, we have some things we can drop off here for sure. And we will do that, and then we will get ready to go to our next planet and call it a day. Let's see, let's look at our power. Oh, we definitely can use more things in our power plant, or MEX power. There we go. And let's see, we are going to smelt, we are going to maybe assemble, we are going to move lots of stuff, but we have plenty of belts. So let's grab our drones. You can see our planetary logistics systems are working well. We're getting plenty of those, so that's a good thing. Drop that in there. We're going to go ahead and pop off our interplanetary logistics systems. We do need, I don't think we have any of these guys in our inventory, and we're going to want some of them. So let's take 20 of those to the other planet. Actually, while we're here, we can go ahead and increase that to 2. Don't think we're going to need them that much, but we are still kind of desperate for drones. We've used a bunch, but we'll be okay. We have a lot of smelters. We're going to take some more just to be on the safe side. If we do decide to make some of these things, the graphene, or just ship in these, these take chemical facilities, so be a little bit of a different build than what we've done in the past, as far as shipping everything in from an interplanetary logistics station, or interstellar logistics station, I should say. So let's grab those chemical plants, and we'll come down here. We'll just grab a handful from here as well, just in case we need them. And as always, we will grab some sorters because you can never have too many sorters. Let's take these guys. I will probably actually look at our planet. I know we're over time and I'm probably going way overboard on this, but yeah, we've got great solar energy, so we may swing by Pixidus 2 and pick up some solar panels. We got silicon there, so it looks like we could use that build that I was thinking about, just bringing energetic graphite in. Maybe we'll set that up before we leave here because we're using less energetic graphite on this planet, so it might work out. But we are way over time. I hope I got the complete shout out in when I did the high speed mode, but I may have to trim it a little bit. Remember, players, by Grabthar's hammer you shall be avenged. Keep building, team.